Hey guys, what's up? Ludwig van der Vet here, and in this tutorial we will see how variables work in Java. So I'm gonna just go here first and organize our space by right-clicking here on source and going new and then package. And so a package is basically like a folder which you can use to organize stuff, and you can name yours whatever you want to name it, but I'm gonna go ahead and name mine lesson 1. And just note here that it has to start with a lowercase letter and and it has to have lowercase letters, and I'm just going to move my main class from our previous tutorial into here, and there we go. And now it is in that lesson 1 package, so I'm going to go ahead and create a package for today's tutorial, lesson 2, and now we can actually start coding. So I'm going to go here, new, and then class. I'm going to name mine main. Like I mentioned in the previous tutorial, you can name yours whatever you want. Just remember that it has to start with a capital letter. So I hit enter, and my new class has been created. And you can see here actually that it shows the package is lesson 2. So anyway, we can actually start coding now, and I'm going to create a main method. If you remember this from the previous tutorial, this is just what you use to make your class runnable, in other words, so the code can actually be executed. And now here you can see I have a few slides prepared, but this is what variables are. Variables are like boxes that can only contain one certain thing. So over here we have like the dog box, and it is containing only this only dogs is the type, and then there's one dog. This one can only contain cats, and it can only contain one cat. This one can only contain deer, and it only has one deer. And so the type is dog for this one, the type is cat for this one, the type is deer for this one. So it can only contain that type, and as you can see, it only has one as well. Okay, so anyway, so there are different types that you can use for your variables, like I said before, and there are 8 main primitive data types, is what they are called, which I will show you, and then one more data type, which is called a string. And so these data types are just for the variables, and as you can see here, I just made 2 backslashes, and this is actually called a comment. I did explain this before, I am pretty sure, but anyway, here we go. Primitive, sorry. Actually, wait, I don't think I have explained this before. A comment is code that something that you put in your code, which isn't actually read by the console, but is instead for the programmer only. And you can see here that you can make numerous lines like this. And the primitive data types are int, short, byte, long, double, float, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, boolean, and char. So these are the 8 primitive data types. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And they're actually in categories. So these first 4 are integers, these 2 are decimals, and then these 2 have their own categories. Boolean and char have their own categories. But we can first look at this category of int, short, byte, and long. And for int, which is short for integer actually, but int can go all the way from negative infinity up to infinity, is what an int is, an integer. But it's a bit different in Java. Like you can see here, I can make numbers like this, but for int it's different, and it's actually a bit lower than that. So basically it's any number actually, but for int the limit is, I think, 120,000 or something like that, or actually I think it's more than that. It's like the max value which you can set for an int. And then for a short it's like 120 to 100. Oh wait, no, actually I think a short it's 120,000, negative 120,000 to 120,000 or something like that. And for a byte it's negative 120 to 120 or something along those lines. and a long is actually 9 quintillion, or sorry, negative 9 quintillion to 9 quintillion, which is like crazy huge. So that's like the size that you can fit into each variable, like the limit of the number. And then we have, actually, let me show you here how it can work. So I go like this, and now I have declared a variable. In other words, I made it, I created it. And so you see here I made the type int, and then the name of this variable is number. And then I have a semicolon here, which is just like I explained before what you have to do. And then we have short number, byte number, and long number. And I actually get an error here because I already have a variable named number. And you can't have variables with the same name because obviously the compiler will get confused. So we can just call these number short, number byte, and number long. And actually, let's change this one to number int. So now these 4 variables have been declared. And now if we want to give them a value, there are actually 2 ways to do it. So we can do it like this on one line. We just say equals and then some value. Let's go with just 457, I guess, and 457. Actually, let me show you the other way that you can initialize variables, give them a value. Type the name, the name of the variable, and then you can go equals and then some number. And in this case, we're going to go with 457 again. So as you can see, it is this way, or you can do it like this. Either way, you're giving it a value. So this one is now 457, and that one is 457 as well. Sometimes you could use this second method, doesn't really matter, but anyway, let's go on and give every single one a value, and I'm going to use both methods. And as you can see here, we actually get an error because byte, well, it doesn't show as obviously, but byte it cannot take a number that big. 457 is too big. So what we can do here is I'm just going to change it to 125, and actually wait, let's go to the max. 127 seems to be the max then, because I get an error when I put in 128. And now all those variables are assigned. Actually, let's go to the next category. So double and float, which are decimals. So basically, I can create a double, and let's name this one number double, and a float, and name this one number float. And now I can give it a value, and it's a decimal, as you can see, so like 1.104, because that's what double, and double is like a bigger version. So it can fit more decimals, in other words, than float. And that's how double looks. And when you go for float, you have to go number, float, and then 1.10f. You see there's an f there, and that is because float, if you're making a float, then you have to say f after the value. That's just how it works. And now let's go to the next one, which is a boolean. So basically a boolean is like a true or a false value. So I can create a boolean here and name it monkeys are green, and we're gonna say monkeys are green equals false, because monkeys aren't green. So so this is a false value now. You're asking, well, when would we ever use this? It seems like kind of meaningless. Well, later when you learn about if statements, that's when you will use it, but for now you don't have to actually use it. Okay, now let's go on to the next one, which is chars. So a char is one character. Let's name this one, 2. And now this just means one character, so we're going to give it values, and as you can see here, we use this single quotes, and I can put in a value there. So now 2 is equal to w, the character w. And if it's a character, that means that if I do 2, there's going to be an error, because too many characters. So as you can see, it can only have one character. And that also means that I can put in numbers or stuff like that, symbols like that. So it's any single character. Actually, let's go with E here, and change this to E. And there we go. Those are all our primitive data types now assigned. And now we can go ahead and print them out. So you would, if I wanted to print out number, number int, I would put in like that. And you may be wondering, well, what about the quotes? Well, you see now that if I put it in quotes like that and hit run, then let's see, then we get this number int. We didn't get the value, which is what we were looking for. We didn't get that 457. Instead, we got this. That's because anything in the quotes will be printed. So for variables, you just print the name without. Putting the name without quotes. And let's see now. I put in number double. So, yep, 1.104. So the value inside of the variable can be printed like that. By not using quotes. Okay, so now let's just go ahead and print everything. IntelliJ gives me a lot of shortcuts, as you can see here. I can just hit tab and it knows that I want to print all the variables at the moment, so I'm busy doing that. And there we go. And now if we run it here, then every single one should be printed out, and there we go. Yes, we have every single one. A few things to note here. The single quotes aren't included, so that's just like when you assign it, you need to use that. And for the float, the F part isn't included. There, it isn't included, and the 0 is also not, because of significant digits. And 0 is not a significant digit because there isn't a digit after it. So yeah, there we go. That's how the primitive data types work. But next we have the one last extra one that I mentioned, and that is a string. And a string is like it's actually a class, but you don't have to really understand what exactly that means yet. What you only really have to understand is that a string is a type of variable that you can use. So you're going to go here, string, I'm going to name it your name, and then use these double quotes, as you can see, and then I'm going to go Johnny Depp, and there we go. So a string is just any combination of characters is the right definition, I think. So we can put in a 2 here because that's still a character, and we can go 2.0, so you can go decimals as well, because like I said, for the char, any digit is a character. But we can go here now and go ahead and actually print this. So for strings, just like for other variables, you're going to actually put in the variable name without quotes. And now if we go and run it, then yep, there we go, we have it all. And you can notice that it does print it without the quotes, just like for char, except with it is double quotes. So yeah, that's actually how variables work in Java, and that is it for this tutorial. So now here is your homework. And for your homework, you have to create a program with... create a program which prints... I like to... run, 2.0, 89, or actually 897, and then this sign. And so you can't just print this like normal. You have to actually use a string variable, a float variable, an integer variable, and a char variable. So you would have to actually put them together in a way and print them in a way